Hey everyone, welcome back to the range. My name is Matt, also known as the Armor Wizard, Zap, and the King of Armor Destruction, and we brought our friend back out. He's been long absent from the channel, and we've gotten quite a few requests to test helmets, and I think I've accumulated like 6 or 7 of them, and it's finally spring / warm-up weather here in Michigan. So we wanted to get these started so we can get down the path and getting them done. This particular sample is from HWIN. They are a Chinese manufacturer. They own their own helmet facility, or at least that's what they've told me. This particular model is their 100% pure polyethylene or ultra-high molecular weight polyethylene model. It weighs 3 pounds, 4 ounces. It's got the high cut here to cut out for your hearing protection. In full transparency, HWIN sent us that PE and an Aramid helmet to demo with no strings attached. Now, it's been a long time since we've tested helmets on the channel, and this is going to start kind of a work in progress. If you either like or don't like something that you see me doing in this demo test protocol, always leave me a comment below. If there's some kind of, objective thing that I can do to further test the limits of this helmet, again, leave a comment below. I really can't comment, so to speak, on the actual different attachment points on the helmet, on whether it fits good or not, because that is dependent on your head shape and size, so on and so forth. You have different requirements than me. This particular model has the night vision attachment up front. We've got the different rails on the side. We have various Velcro on the top and back. We have a simple clasp for our chin strap here. We do have the little click adjustment in the back. I was trying to come up with some different ways to test this, and the Aramid helmet, I was going to strap it to my pull-up bar and see if it would hold all of my 165 pounds, and the plastic clips gave way. So we're not going to do that. Now, if you're a newcomer to my channel, here comes the long-winded spiel. I do things completely different than a majority of other YouTube channels that you see out there. I'm more of an information guy. I want to give you guys as much information as possible. I am not an NIJ lab. I don't pretend to be one. If you see me stop a threat or a threat penetrates here on my channel, always defer to actual testing from an NIJ accredited lab and ask the manufacturer to produce that. Or on the flip side, if you are the manufacturer and you see me stop one of these rounds here today, you should send that helmet off to an accredited lab and have that tested. Since this is relatively like a pistol rated armor, we're going to shoot at 12 feet. We also shoot at 0 degrees because that represents worst case scenario. If anything you take away from my channel, we want worst case scenario, because if it stops at 12 feet, we know that hundreds and hundreds of yards downrange, if you take the same shot, you know that helmet is going to stop it. We also use a chronograph whenever possible. We have a Pro Chrono Pal Digital DLX. It's around 70 to 75 degrees outside. Since this is a helmet, I've got our little dummy head here, and my thought process was that I have some Roma Plastilina clay on the left side here, and we're going to take a shot from full power 9mm as well as 44 mag, and we're going to kind of look at that back face on there to see what it looks like. Now, with helmets, the primary duty of our helmet, besides attaching all kinds of oogly dooglies to it, is to provide you with some bump protection and fragmentation mitigation. There really isn't a certification process for helmets in the NIJ currently. A lot of manufacturers rate them for level 3A, and they say 9mm and 44 Magnum, but when you shoot 44 Magnum at some of these helmets, the back face or the indentation that we see in the clay well exceeds the 44 millimeters, and for that 44 millimeters is generally speaking on your chest or back. You definitely wouldn't want to take a 44 millimeter blunt force trauma to the head. I do believe some of the qualifications for the NIJ call for a max of 25 millimeters. So we're going to attempt to kind of measure that today. Now, again, I'm not a lab, so the clay that's under there has to be heated to around 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and I can't keep it that warm out here. I tried to, and then it ended up getting too warm, so we're just going to get an idea of what that back face could be. Now, the different types of little foam pads or suspension systems that you put inside the helmet can affect how much back face that you do see on our target. And finally, we put a spreadsheet here at the beginning that we kind of foreshadow all the threats at it. We're going to list the velocity and whether it penetrated, and I think we're going to try to do a cool way to do a teardown at the end of this video. Hopefully by the time we edit this all together, it will be fairly short compared to some of my armor panel testings, but if not, you know, watching it on 2X helps me all the same. So we're going to start up our test with our 9mm. We've got our ARV9 from Palmetto State Armory. This gives me, again, maximum real world velocity in 9mm. We have a 124 grain full metal jacket L7A1. This is known for producing quite a bit of velocity. We'll take the shot, go down and look at the back face if I can hit where I'm supposed to, go to the 44 mag, and then we'll go to some specialty threats. .1472. Our penetration on our L7A1 was right there. We have no pass-through. Our little foam is seen a beating. Now this is where the dimple and the clay is. We did beat all this flat. That's a part that we didn't beat flat before. Let's see what that looks like. Grab our depth gauge here. Make sure we're set to 0. Again, this is not precise. We're looking at 14.41 millimeters indent, which again is below the 25 millimeters that I see some manufacturers like to claim. Now it's time for maximum energy transfer. I apologize if you can't read the chronograph screen, but NIJ level 3A calls for 44 mag at 1430 feet per second, a 240 grain Spear semi-jacketed hollow core. I can't find that bullet because it has been discontinued. So we've got a Sierra equivalent, at least again for our testing. Now I couldn't get that in 44 mag, so we've come out with our 429 Desert Eagle. Magnum Research released this round a few years ago, kind of similar to the 440 Corbon, but a lot more easy to get right now. You can actually get the Lee 429 dies and convert your 58E brass without any trimming necessary. We've got an EGW red dot mount on our Desert Eagle here and a Tacticon Armament red dot. The bugs are biting me. Ouch. Sorry about that. Now I have been dialing these loads in, so I'm not sure where this is going to be. For 14 something. The helmet looks a little worse for wear. I pulled that shot a little bit, but we are about an inch to inch and a half from there. Wanted to be up here a little bit, but again, this is all a work in progress. We'll see where we hit. Ho! There is no penetration of that plate, or I keep saying plate, I mean helmet, but our back face is very, very spread out, and it's going to be hard. So let's go off this edge here. It's almost like that's the epicenter. You're looking at around 28 millimeters, maybe more. Let's try this way. 32, I would say that's more of an accurate representation. Now you can see that that is spread out. The bullet was stopped, but this is where you get into that discussion of having a traumatic brain injury for the rest of your life versus the bullet penetrating. You gotta weigh your pros and cons there. But again, someone shooting you with a 44 mag at point blank, let alone the 429 DE at that velocity, probably not gonna happen. It stopped it though. Now we're gonna get into our specialty threats. We have 9mm. This is our 50 grain plus P copper hollow point from Liberty Civil Defense. This is known for penetrating lower quality types of aramid construction plates and or helmets. We still have the 16-inch. We'll take 2 shots on here. Well, don't worry, folks. We'll get to some 5.7 today. So this should be probably right smack dab in the top of the head. 24.97. Let me go check that. Off to the right of it. Good velocity off that load. Now for another 2 9mm loads that are known for penetrating soft armor, we've got our 80 grain Fort Scott Munitions solid copper spun round, all copper, very, very nasty. Then we have G9 Defense's 77 grain external hollow point. It's got the little cavities there in the tip. We've got a 4.5-inch Arex Delta Gen 2, got the Holo Sun with the ACSS reticle up top. We're on the back of the helmet now. Nice, pretty good velocity off that. And we'll place this one to the right. That one was a little close where I wanted it, but I'll take it. On to my favorite caliber, 5.7 by 28mm. We have our FN PS90 SBR here, has a 10.4-inch barrel. We have a Holosun AEMS up top, kind of like this on this platform. The Picatinny rail mount on the left here, the optic mount and our flashlight mount are from HB Industries. They just recently came out with some mounts for our P90. Maybe they can do a trigger pack or something for this and make the trigger a little better. We have 3 rounds that I feel are a good representation of the 5.7's capabilities. We have Elite Ammunition's S4, that is the 28 grain OTM from the factory, going a lot faster. We have Vanguard Outfitters Black Dragon Fang, that is a 34 grain solid copper pre-fragmented projectile. Then we have the round that I know will go through this. This is FN SS 190. It's a 31 grain full metal jacket armor piercing round. Has the same penetrating tip in it as M855 or SS 109. We'll take the S4 shot first. Really good velocity. And now our Black Dragon Fang. Crap. And finally our SS 190. This is going to hurt me and my little dummy, but for science, you know. Nice. Let's go see what we did, folks. If anything, folks, I think I'm going to have to pick up a few more of these dummy heads so that I can continue testing, because if I have some penetrations, it tears up our guy. Anyways, our Liberty Civil Defense shots number 1 and 2 were right there. Our Fort Scott Munitions shots, our Fort Scott Munitions shot was right there. Our G9 Defense was right there. Our S4 right there, our Black Dragon Fang right there, and then our SS 190 were right there. Now those are about an inch from the edge. You could consider those non-fair hits. Again, with helmets, I don't think there is a hit standard there. But there's a lot going on here. It's going to be hard to see. We'll have to get this more towards the teardown. But our Liberty Civil Defense shots were stopped. Our G9 and Fort Scott Munitions shots were stopped. However, all 3 rounds of our specialty 5.7 were penetrated this particular helmet. At some point, I'm going to say helmet correctly. Now again, those particular threats are designed to defeat level 3A, and they are of proper bullet composition and speed to defeat it. Interesting, normally S4M would fail, or S4 would fail in this case, but it penetrated. You can see those holes there. We'll peel this cover off here in a second and confirm. And with that being said, I think that pretty much wraps up the testing for our helmet. Now, I've done this for a long time on my ballistic panels. The usefulness of our helmets of doing a quote-unquote teardown, you know, leave me some constructive criticism in the comments below on whether I should continue to do this. It took me about 15 minutes to cut 2 of these in half because you got to find the right Sawzall blade. Probably could do better on a bandsaw, but I don't have one. So I thought that this particular polyethylene plate was more so our very thin stranded polyethylene like we see as backers, but this appears to be more of a fabric, kind of like an aramid backer versus the polyethylene that we're used to seeing from, say, like Spectra Shield. And you can just see all that layering there. I'm not sure how well it's pressed because it does seem to come apart after I've cut it, but it seems to hold its shape fairly well. Our night vision mount is made out of aluminum. Our side panels are made out of plastic. There were no shots placed on the front side of this plate, or helmet, just the 9mm and 44 mag on the side. The 9mm was recovered a little ways in there, but it was stopped. And then what's good about this particular material was that it stopped our Liberty Civil Defense, both of those rounds, as well as the Fort Scott Munitions NG9 out of our shorter barrel lengths. However, our S4, Black Dragon Fang, and SS190 from the P90 penetrated. I probably could have shot somewhere else on this plate with the shorter barrel length with these 2 rounds, but SS190 was going to penetrate no matter what. And those were just on the back side there, maybe hard to see. There's a hole, and then there's the other hole over there, and then the Black Dragon Fang was there. And that's all there is. Well, folks, there you have it. Now my garage is filled with Kevlar and PE tidbits for me sawing these helmets in half with my Sawzall. Kind of mixed on the results that I got from this testing. Again, leave me any kind of comments below on whether I should continue even testing helmets or not. Like I said, I'm of the firm belief that you should prioritize fitment, suspension system, and overall comfort of your helmet, and the ability to mount your accessories to it over the ballistic protection that some manufacturers and or resellers will try to upsell you on. To my knowledge, there's no NIJ level 3 or 4 helmet in existence that doesn't weigh 10 pounds to stop actual rifle threats. Your main benefit for these types of helmets is going to be fragmentation mitigation. Although in our testing, we stopped 9mm and 44 mag at close to the NIJ spec speeds, and the dimple that we left in our little clay mannequin provided us with under 25mm of what I consider passable backface. Again, if you're needing to spec that out as a requirement for your purchase, you should always go to the manufacturer or reseller and ask them to produce actual lab results from an NIJ accredited lab to show that these do exactly what they say. With all that being said, it's time for me to get the heck out of here because it's bedtime. But at the end of all my videos, I take a moment to thank all those who help make these possible. Number 1 is my Patreon and subscribe to our fans. I have a link tree in the description below with various different ways to contact me and or support me, because most of my channel, as far as expenses go, come from buying ammunition to throw at some of these targets. Number 2 is my friend Richard over at HWIN. Again, in full transparency, provided us with a pair of helmets to demo with no strings attached. And of course, number 3 is you all for watching. Until next time, I'll catch you at the range.